Welcome back. Hi,
Hi.
hey. We are the Ignited Podcast, and we are coming at you live with chapter 10 of my most beat up book currently in my library. Why We Do What We Do. If you're watching the video, you'll be able to see the destruction that's happened to this book. This book was a part, Britt, of the calamity that was my water bottle opening up inside of my fortified bag that killed my laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that book was in there too, hence the new water damage to it. But that's when you know a book is good, when it looks like that, because you're carrying it around with you everywhere.
I stopped borrowing books from people because I'm notorious for destroying them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to know yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about self-awareness.
It is. It is.
So
Woo.
we are looking at chapter 10 today, how to promote autonomy. And Brittany's going to do us the honor of the first summary.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this? I have to get my phone then.
Ooh, I gotta stretch. Okay. How to promote
Warm up.
autonomy.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
On your mark, get set, summarize.
Okay. So chapter 10, how to promote autonomy. DC talks about the benefits that we can see and feel specifically in the classroom when we become autonomy supportive. He brings up several studies where autonomy supportive practices were used by managers and teachers, and how both groups, the people in positions of authority and the people that are in the one down positions, like employees or students, um, experienced more satisfaction and intrinsic motivation. And their perceptions, and this is both employer or the person in the one up position and the person in the one down position. Both groups, their perception of the workplace or the classroom actually improved, and they saw increased dedication. So autonomy supportive instruction, autonomy supportive methods, they don't just benefit the people in the one down position, they benefit everybody. Then he covered the different ways that we can be autonomy supportive, which we're going to be talking about today. And the 3 or 4, he specifically mentions offering choice, sharing authority and decision making, which we talk about all the time, and like having teachers create their own rules, and setting goals and evaluating progress in autonomy supportive ways, or doing it together, or doing it so that it's initiated by the person in the one down position.
Well
Woohoo.
done. Brava.
Thank you.
All right. Time for
You ready?
my
Chapter
maybe more
10.
chaotic summary.
I love chaos.
Let's go. I feel like your summaries are always like smooth sailing, like walking through a library. And Ashton's like, catch all these dodgeballs all at once.
That's so funny because I feel like, well, it depends. It depends on if I have written the summary out. Like that's how my brain works.
See, and I never write it out.
Yeah.
I'm just like YOLO.
I know, which is awesome because that means that your brain has like, it's used to that process and it can like organize the information on its own.
Our listeners might disagree with that organization. Maybe not though. If you're an episode 10 of season 3, you're here for a reason. And that actually might be like my English major coming out to play.
Oh yeah.
Sequencing.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, sequencing and like being able to classify, because like to become an English major in high school, you're like, oh, I like my English classes. This is fun. But then when you're in college, it's like, crap, I have 5 English classes all at once. And we're all reading different texts. How do I remember like these different elements from all these different texts? And somehow you do. Yeah. But I was like serial reading. And I was also remembering this past week, one of my wisest decisions was usurping the college textbook scam. Brett, you're going to love this. Guess how I got away with not buying college textbooks or renting them?
How?
I would interlibrary loan them. And my cheap ass wasn't about to pay the late fees either. And so I would coordinate returning the books in the fall with the holidays when it was a canned good drive. And so I was able to have all my textbooks covered by cans of lima beans or like whatever I could find on sale at the grocery store to account for my textbooks. And like, granted, the version number or thing like that may have been off, or it may have been like a little bit different than like what the regular class was reading, but I could figure it out. I got the gist of it still.
Yeah. I remember for one of my classes, I couldn't get the textbook. Textbooks are so stupid expensive. They are overcharging. And I went to the library and I had like accrued so many printing or copy pages over the years, and I like almost copied the entire textbook.
Only semi.
It wasn't the entire textbook. It was like four chapters, because the rest of the textbook we didn't use. So
Puffin Books is going to come for you.
Yeah. So no, I copied them.
Yep, you do what you do. Like, or you gotta trade books with people too. You know, like, all right, if you read it this day, I'll read it this day.
Yeah.
You got to navigate things.
You do. That's why I think poverty makes you more clever.
I was going to say, you're about to say something interesting, Brett. Interesting claim is coming.
Well, because like so many people will use like, oh, poverty is good for you. It's good for you. Like it boosts creativity. It boosts resilience. It da 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 da. But really, we use that as an excuse to keep mass populations in poverty, and I don't want to contribute to that. However, I will say, as someone who grew up in poverty, it does make you more innovative and creative. A more creative problem solver. I'll give you that.
Oh yeah. I remember like when everybody was getting like the handheld video games. We obviously could not afford that. And so you ready for what I made?
What?
I took a VHS, you know, like the ones where you would like copy the VHSs off somebody else's. So like one of those VHS things, I covered it in paper and I made index card inserts showing a game screen so I could pretend I was playing a game.
Yeah,
just change out the index card.
Yes, and that is way better for the brain. That is way better for the brain because it's like activating your imagination, for lack of a time to go into neural networking. But it's like your visual network and your default mode and daydream and like creative processing.
Yeah,
like,
see,
awesome.
We say that, but like all my friends were like, that's not a Tamagotchi. I'm like, well, sucks to suck. This is what I got, my VHS.
You're right. You just killed my Tamagotchi.
If you squint and turn your head sideways and hit the lights. Tamagotchi. Okay, my summary.
Yeah. 2 minutes on the clock.
Here we go.
You got it?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So chapter 10, how to promote autonomy, was also basically like use choice and set limits and explain limits to kids. That's kind of what it all boils down to. I can stop there. No, I'm not going to though. I'm going to keep going. So one of the things that they covered was even the direction of like making a flower. This kid inside of the chapter made his flower differently. And the teacher ended up saying something like, that's not, we're going to make the flower here. He was upset, but just highlighting the difference in expectations. Now there are different ways of meeting an objective, and giving kids choice over what they do and how they show things is important. We then talked about how you can kind of see and feel different vibes in classrooms when teachers are promoting autonomy and they're promoting this choice versus when they're not. And how one of the ways that you can really tell if somebody is autonomy supportive is if they are able to take on the student's perspective and kind of speak from their perspective, especially when talking with other adults. That's telling. And then they moved into, well, what about when people act like They don't want to have autonomy and they want me to choose for them. And that's actually a symptom of being in a coercive environment where they are not given the ability to choose for themselves. So they expect people to keep spoon feeding them, which we might see a bit in society right now. But I digress. Then we move into limits and why they do need to exist and how you can go about setting them in still an autonomy supportive way, which is making sure like they're reasonable. Don't be overly controlling. And then also when you have to set these limits, explain why. So the illustration they gave was a kid keeping sand in the play box or the sandbox, not throwing it out. Explain why it's important for sand to stay in the sandbox. And then lastly, it talked about giving critical feedback, how people are typically most critical of themselves. So give them a chance to share before you come at them hard. And we're going to stop there.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, your intros, even when they're not scripted or like, even you don't, and typically you go through by headers. That's
Yeah, except this book screwed me
doesn't-
over with that.
Yeah,
but-
this book doesn't have headers. I think that
Mhm.
like they're still on point.
Thank you. You know,
Oh,
I think
so
you go first.
well, I'm about to go in like hard into some
Okay,
brain
I'll go first.
chemistry
I
with
was
Brittany.
just saying
Brain chemistry.
brain chemistry with Brittany. I was just saying that it'll be funny to have like Gemini take notes from our podcast and be like, they start by talking about motivation, talk about poverty, talk about Tamagotchis, talk about limit setting.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to like read an AI summary of our podcast.
This is I mean, any conversation that you have with me that where I'm like super interested and animated about it is going to jump topics like that. Because I have ADHD.
Since when? I had no idea.
Oh yeah. Hard. Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the last thing that you said where we have to explain the reasoning behind whatever it is that we're asking the brain to do. And
limits.
Yeah, so like setting limits and how do we set limits where it's not going to dysregulate the brain, take away that autonomy. And there is a part of the brain, it's called the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC. And it is very tiny and it does a lot. So it's like very, very small, but does a lot for the brain. And it is a part of the prefrontal cortex, which we know is very, very, very energy hungry. Okay. So the ACC, this little itty bitty tiny part of the brain, gets turned on when we give the brain a demand, like sit here, be quiet during here. And it activates and it's like, okay, this is what I've got to do. This is what happened the last time I did it. This is, how I can do it. And let me correct for any errors so I can do it successfully. And it's doing all of this activity and it's doing it in a really, really, really small part of the brain. And it's using up a lot of power. When we phrase our requests, our expectations, when we phrase them so that they are a part of a social norm, like contractual, reciprocal relationship, community oriented, like, you know what, we walk in the halls because if two people are running and they run into each other, or if there's something spilled, they're going to fall. We have people who aren't used to being in schools, like walk in the halls. And what if they're carrying a ladder? Oh my gosh, like you give all of these explanations, and it actually takes that itty bitty part, the ACC, and it takes how much work it has to do, the itty bitty part, and it spreads that work out amongst other parts of the brain. So all of that all of that responsibility isn't on that itty bitty part of the ACC. It's like
Mm-hmm.
balanced. And so it doesn't overload the brain. It doesn't use up so much metabolic energy that it ends up shutting down the PFC, which we need to cope, right?
Yeah.
And executive functioning. So when we set limits, when we give those explanations, it's actually like there's a neurological reason, and it keeps our students, it keeps their executive functioning online for longer because it's better for energy of the brain. See, aren't you glad
I
that you went
love
first?
that. I am glad I went first. I would have completely forgotten what I wanted to share by the end of that. Yeah, because now I'm on other things too. I love the neuro. What do we call it? I feel like there was something
What did
before
it?
brain
There was a
chemistry with
name.
Brittany.
Yeah, it
Chemical
was
brain chemistry.
chemical brain chemistry with Brittany.
I love chemical brain chemistry with Brittany segments of
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at this yesterday too, from a different standpoint of when you have kids starting to like challenge you, or you can see them starting to flow down into their emotional state, re-engaging the prefrontal cortex with different questions
Mm.
or like a challenge. So like a why question, or like imagine if something like that to get them like re-engaged up there.
Mhm.
So oh my God, this is like fitting back to that.
Well, I would be careful with that because uh, if you ask a dysregulated brain a question, especially if they have ADHD or autism, and they've like, so for a lot of ADHDers and people with autism, we tend to have weaker connection to our like the Broca
Mm.
area, which actually sits really close to the limbic system, and it can shut down, so we lose access to our language generation. Um, so if you're gonna use questions, I would make them really, really, really simple. Where were you reading that?
I
Tell me
was looking
more.
over the whole brain child yesterday.
Okay, the whole brain child, the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just reviewing that book for a mini I was making inside of the village. Let's go. Let me talk about this today. I
Oh,
didn't actually talk
yeah.
about that. I just kept reading. I was like, oh yeah. I talked about something different. But no, like you have to be aware of the situation and where the kid is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I like to do, and we had the Power of Understanding workshop yesterday, and in the Power of Understanding workshop, we do how to understand behavior to reduce its effects on your threat response, and we cover like cognitive distortions, and any um, anything that involves turning on like the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your calming response, or just disengaging the sympathetic nervous system, like your stress response, or getting yourself out of cognitive distorted thinking,
Mm-hmm.
uh, noticing
Yeah.
and noticing when your heart rate's elevated, or noticing when your breathing is shallow, or noticing when you're starting to sweat, your temperature is elevated, noticing when you've lost track of your thoughts, or you're emotionally attached to the thoughts. Like, I always use the
Mm-hmm.
example of if you're sitting by yourself in your car and you realize that you are unbelievably ticked off and there's no one near you, like you just got emotionally hijacked. You spiraled with your thoughts, and your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts influenced your emotions, right? So just noticing whatever it is, your thought,
Mm-hmm.
something in the environment that can turn on conscious awareness, and making sure that when it comes to bringing that consciousness online, you do it in a tapered style. So I really like the five senses activity, five things you see,
Yeah. Like a grounding
five things,
strategy.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think that is, yeah, the grounding strategies. that's what I would use. Like that's what I used and what I used with my students too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I would do that sometimes too. Or I would pull them into the hallway and do the ET finger, which I'm sure I've shown you at some point, right? If
Mm-mm.
you're watching, I would go in the hall with them and go, hey. And they're in
Mm.
middle school. So they'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, and I'd be like, oh my
Touch
gosh,
my
you're
finger.
so weird. And then they would pull their finger out too and they do like the whole ET touch. And like I'd make a weird
Oh,
face and then they would laugh a little bit.
yeah,
And then we
yeah.
would chat. But like just something stupid that they're like, you're so ridiculous. But like that they think it's funny.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
And then you share the smiles too. And then the emotions can
Mhm.
catch. Like you're smiling, they start to smile a little bit. Like every situation is so different too,
Yeah.
you know. But we're going down a whole different rabbit hole. Let's
Heck
bring
yeah,
it
we are.
back to autonomy. So one of the interesting concepts in here that I think our listeners will be interested to dive into in more detail is the concept about people who are denied autonomy act like they don't want it.
Mm.
Because I'm pretty sure in schools you see this, right? Especially if you're like that one rewired teacher in the school and like
Oh, yeah.
everybody else is like punishments,
Mhm.
bribes. These kids
Yeah.
just don't blank anymore,
Mhm.
right? And you're the only person.
That's like screaming into the void that people need to listen to more neuroscientists. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So, do you want to walk us through a little bit, Britt, about why that is the case? Like, why, when people are denied autonomy, they act like they don't want it? And maybe then what we
Mhm.
can do about it afterwards.
Yeah. Um, let me think for a second. So, if the brain is denied autonomy, you're going to see more maladaptive behavior, so maladaptive coping strategies, which is already, if the brain is denied autonomy, it's put into a dysregulated state, and so it is going to start relying on the approval or the uh, whoever is in the environment that is showing a leadership role or has the authority. The brain's going to lean on whatever that person thinks is correct, and the brain is going to find that that person of authority, their opinion of what is correct, is safe.
Yeah.
So the brain is designed to be afraid. It's not designed to be aggressive, which, like, I'm in a rabbit hole on that right now. Um, it's not designed to be aggressive. The brain is designed to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes to whatever is safest. If you have somebody who is an authority figure who's highly controlling, and they've determined what is safe and they've defined what is safe, the brain is going to be like, well, if I try to deviate from this path, that's not safe. That I don't know, like that's not fitting the expectations, or like the expectations or
Yeah.
the rules, whatever, of the person in authority. So we're not going to go down the path of creativity or the path of intrinsic motivation, because that is really, really hard to predict now that the authority individual is defining what success looks like, to the point where like we're starting to be afraid of not achieving it, i.e. reward systems and punishments. But so the brain is going to do what's safest, and what is safest is to do what the authority figure says. And in the book he says, like, I have these students who I'm trying to give autonomy to, and they just want to be told what to write. Like, write whatever you're interested in. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything that they're interested in. Well, that's not true. They want me to tell them how to get an A. They want me to tell them what to write, what I expect to be success. They've set the adult has set the success criteria. And this it just fits in totally with the brain hating unpredictability. The brain wants to do whatever is predictable because that's whatever's safest. And so, no, I don't want to come up with my own topic. I don't know if what I want to write about is right. Can you just tell me? Because that's safe.
Yeah.
Messy stuff.
So then what would you recommend our teachers do who find themselves with a class of 30 kids who are like, I don't know what I should do. What should I do? What do you think I should do? Or looking to be spoon fed almost.
So I think my go-to response lately has been to taper transitions. Like if you just have this tapering transition mindset on everything that you do, introduce it gently, limit the choices, provide examples. Like it all comes down to not wasting cognitive energy on things that don't need to be wasted on. Okay, so if the brain is not if you just ask the brain, hey, what do you want to write something that you're interested in, that brain has to process all of this information, go to the hippocampus, go to think about all of the things that they're interested in. And then the ACC, which is error detection, is like, oh, well, what does she want me to write about? What is she going to consider interesting? What's the success criteria? How am I not going to fail? What's safe? How am I not going to make an error? So you can limit that wasted cognitive energy by having prompts, by having supports in place, guardrails. When I was in the classroom, in all my infinite wisdom, went into a behavioral program where kids are uber conditioned to be like, you just tell me what to do, because behavioral programs are notorious for over controlling methods and reward systems and punitive tactics. And I was like, hey, this is going to be studio. We're doing TAB, which is teaching for artistic behavior, which means that I'm going to show you a 10-minute demo of how to use a tool. And then you're going to use all of the materials that are in this room and you can make whatever you want. And kids melted down. Like especially the middle schoolers. The elementary kids were like, ooh, because they still have that creativity, that creative ingenuity, right? And fuck the success.
Now we have an E for this episode.
Yeah. Like after the success criteria, that's irrelevant. Like I just want to create. I'm 7. It's cool. But what I saw with that was that I really I was expecting kids to just be like, yeah, let's build a spaceship with cardboard. And they were just like sitting there and having, anxiety, panic attacks because I wasn't telling them what to do. And it should have, how I should have done it was eased it into what they were comfortable with. And tapered the experience by introducing choice boards, making sure that we have lots of prompts to get them to that.
Adding in some structures to support autonomy.
Yeah, guardrails. Yeah, definitely. And regulation for the teacher. That's my
gosh. Thing. Yeah, regulation. We were just talking to a school district the other day about really the first thing you have to do, regardless of what initiative you're trying to accomplish, is starting with regulation with your staff, which we have a full, beautiful training all about.
Oh man, that's
for your school if you're interested. Email us at info@rewirededucation.com if you are interested in us coming to your school virtually or in person. But I think we should share quotes now, Britt.
For sure. What are we at? One. Oh man, we're at 30 minutes. That's crazy.
I know. Okay. Maybe we'll be able to cut some stuff out in the editing and revising stage of the podcast. But I feel like there's not much that we can cut out.
We haven't cut out anything, and people still like it. So I'm just like, okay, heck yeah.
Yeah, we're like, we probably should have cut that, and we don't cut it.
No,
We keep it in, yeah.
all
So
genuine.
the quote I wanted to share comes from page 158. And it says that parents, politicians, and school administrators all want students to be creative problem solvers and to learn material at a deep conceptual level. But in their eagerness to achieve these ends, they pressure teachers to produce. The paradox is that the more they do that, the more controlling the teachers become, which, as we have seen so many times, undermines intrinsic motivation, creativity, and conceptual understanding in the students. The harder the teachers are pushed to get results, the less likely it is that the important results will be forthcoming. Drop book.
Yeah, and I have so that's funny because I have that quote. And then right underneath it, I have like maybe it's like the next two sentences. So I'm going to read that
Yeah.
one. Same page, page 158. Teachers will not be very effective in supporting the autonomy of their students if they do not have their own support.
Mm-hmm.
And finding that support, finding a network of people who will help you
Yeah.
satisfy your own needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness is one of the most important aspects of promoting autonomy in the people you teach, care for, and supervise. Join the village. Boom.
Mm-hmm. And if you're a
Those.
school leader, let us work with you.
Mhm.
Because
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like everybody has like a top, like our
Mhm.
school leaders are also feeling this pressure from the school
Uh,
board, superintendent, the city, like
mhm.
we just are existing in a pressure cooker currently. And we're here to help you take the lid off.
Yeah.
So regardless of your entry point, if you're an educator, the village is for you.
Yes.
If you are an administrator, then talk to us about consulting work.
Mhm.
Because like I don't know about you, but like I've had meetings where people are like admin is like in tears in the meeting because they're
Yeah.
like, wow, like I feel seen and I feel supported. And
Yeah.
we don't do that.
Mhm.
Like as a society, we do not support our administrators very well or our teachers so much.
No.
You know?
Well, I was going to take us down on the societal implications path, which I honestly think that I have said societal implications in every episode now
I
this
want to get a
season.
flag
So
actually that says societal
societal
implications.
implications, the
You
societal
know,
implications.
you know what I'm gonna do, Brett? I'm gonna get some
What's that?
cardboard and I'm gonna make like little signs for us. I have to write backwards for the screen, but
And
it'll
you
be
can
like
bring it.
chemical brain chemistry, societal
It's like a
implications.
soundboard. Like
Yes,
you know how radio stations have the
the
soundboards, but
vortex.
yours going to be our onomatopoeias.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I want to I just want to say one more thing with finding a community. Um, I Dolores A. Santoro has a really good book, Demoralized, and Demoralized is about taking the idea of burnout and reframing it as demoralization, specifically for
Mhm.
teachers. And in her work, she mentions the three psychological needs, which is the needs that are the foundation of everything that we do: autonomy, belonging, and competency. Belonging is one that she mentions that remoralizes. So, specifically,
Mhm.
seeking out a community that shares
Yeah.
your values and goals and spending time in that community and contributing to that community. That is a way that can re regulate you and increase your intrinsic motivation and your passion. Join if you have been this far along with us, you need to join the village.
Mhm. And if
Like,
you're
you
already in there, say hi.
do it. Oh,
Say that
yeah.
we just listened to this episode. Comment that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Is that your takeaway?
Heck yeah, yeah. That was sweet.
And yeah, right? Two birds, one stone.
Yeah.
I think that my takeaway would be similar, but just for the administrators who are listening to find your village of support as well. And you could tune into the village. The village is a great resource for you as well, but also
Mhm.
to hit us up and have other people in your corner. And we'll include the links to the village and to our district inquiry email in this podcast episode notes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, until next time, I'm Ashlyn.
I'm Brittany.
And we hope that you feel remoralized
And re-energized.
Take care. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.